Let's do this Minnesota shooting thing first. The suspect was identified as Vance Bolter, 57, by law enforcement officials with knowledge of the investigation into the killing of a state representative and her husband, and the attack on a state senator and his wife. He remains at large. Law enforcement officials identified Vance Bolter, 57, as a suspect in the assassination of one Democratic state legislator in Minnesota and the attempted assassination of another on Saturday. The suspect's identity was confirmed by two law enforcement officials with knowledge of the matter who were not authorized to speak about the ongoing investigation. State, local, and federal police have flooded the Minneapolis suburbs searching for the suspect and for hours arrested residents near one of the crime scenes to shelter in place. Officials said a gunman impersonating a police officer killed Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark on Saturday morning and wounded Senator John A. Hoffman and his wife Yvette in a separate attack at the lawmakers' homes. Damn. So they haven't even caught him yet. Vance Bolter, the man identified as the suspect in the attacks on two lawmakers, is listed as the director of security patrols on the website of a Minnesota-based private security group. We drive the same make and model of vehicles that many police departments use in the U.S. The website says the police have said the suspect was impersonating a police officer and had what appeared to be a police vehicle.
Our state lost a great leader, and I lost the dearest of friends. Speaker Hortman was someone who served the people of Minnesota with grace, compassion, humor, and a sense of service. She was a formidable public servant, a fixture and a giant in Minnesota. She woke up every day determined to make this state a better place. She is irreplaceable, and we've been missed by so many. Minnesota's thoughts and prayers are with her family, her loved ones, her children, and her parents. My prayers also go out to State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who were each shot multiple times. The Hoffmans are out of surgery at this time and receiving care, and we are cautiously optimistic they will survive this assassination attempt. This was an act of targeted political violence. Peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy.
Do we know right now? I mean, it seems fairly likely, but do we know for sure that it was like a targeted political thing? Like, is there like a manifesto or a public statement or anything by the shooter, or are we just assuming it? Okay. He had a list of 70-plus Democrat targets. Oh, well, that would... Oh, that's what this is. Okay. The two law enforcement officials told CNN the suspect is a hit list with nearly 70 names, including other lawmakers and abortion providers, was also found in the suspect's car. Damn.
Democracy and civil discourse. We must all, Minnesota and across the country, stand against all forms of political violence. At this precipice moment we're on, this tragic act here in Minnesota.
Why are Democrats not weaponizing the story right now? Weaponizing it how? Apparently, did Tim Walz activate an assassin against a political rival who voted against him, planned to give illegal immigrants free health care? The suspect is at large after fleeing on foot. A massive manhunt is underway. How do these people plan these things? This guy's the head of a security company. He's got apparently a police vehicle, a list of 70 people. He gets through 2 shootings, and now his like shit is fucked. Not great planning, my dude. Which we should all be thankful for. While it's probably Democrats on the list, the article says lawmakers, doesn't it? I still feel like it's a safe assumption. Wait, what? No, I thought the article said Democrats. Democratic lawmakers. Did I misread that? Oh, I read Democrats in chat. That article did not say Democrats. A hit list with nearly 70 names, including other lawmakers and abortion providers. Okay, we don't know if they're Democrats or not. Good catch.
I'd now like to turn it over to my public safety team to fill you in on the specifics of this ongoing investigation.
About 2 a.m. this morning, there was an original call in the city of Champlin where there was an individual that had shot Senator Hoffman and his wife. Police responded to that location. They were dealing with that and working through that process overnight. And then later on, at approximately 3:35, that another call came in when it was officers pro.
ABC reported that it was Democrats. Oh, I think you need to be really careful with your reading here, guys. Why everybody? How many people in my chat just said this? ABC said it was Dems. ABC report that it was Dems. You guys are, and then I click your article, and it says Omar, Representative Omar, among dozens of Minnesota Democrats on gunmen's list. There were 70 people on the list. So it could be Republicans and Democrats. It could just be pro-life people, or I'm sorry, pro-choice people. I don't know. Chill. Read. Headline readers? Well, don't even call them headline. They didn't even read the headline. It says it right in the headline. It just doesn't. Okay, chill.
Actively checking because they knew of the incident that occurred, and they were going to check on Speaker Hortman at that time, at which time Brooklyn Park police officers encountered the individual who immediately fired at them, and they exchanged gunfire, and then the individual were dealing with that, and we're individual that about 2 a.m. this morning, there was an original call in the city of Champlin where there was an individual that had shot Senator Hoffman and his wife. Police responded to that location. They were dealing with that and working through that process overnight, and then later on, at approximately 3:35, that another call came in when it was officers proactively checking because they knew of the incident that occurred, and they were going to check on Speaker Hortman at that time, at which time Brooklyn Park police officers encountered the individual.
Holy shit. That's like such a minor, small detail that might have been so important for good police work that some politician got shot and they proactively called and checked in the area for other politicians, and then they ran into this assassin dude at the next. Holy nice job. Is this in Minneapolis or what? Whoever was involved in this, whatever police department. Damn. Who
immediately fired at them, and they exchanged gunfire, and then the individual was able to escape during that exchange of gunfire. At the residence in Champlin, there was life-saving measures that were provided there. Both individuals were transported, as was previously noted, and they both received surgeries for their injuries at the hospital, and their conditions are at this time, both those individuals, Senator Hoffman and his wife, are both alive at this time.
Champlin and Brooklyn Park, northern suburbs of Minneapolis. Brooklyn is in New York, dude. What are you talking about?
But they suffered gunshot wounds and are obviously in a difficult situation. But we're cautiously optimistic that they will continue to improve. At this time, it is a very active scene still, as you've seen. The Brooklyn Park Police Department, along with other members, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, State Patrol, FBI, BC, and many others, are actively engaged in a manhunt for the individual that we believe is responsible for this. And so we'll be sharing the identity with those individuals as this progresses, but I'm going to caution you, I know there's going to be a ton of interest in this. We're not at the position we can do that as we're actively searching for that individual. Right now, just as noted, we have teams in the County Sheriff's Office in Champlin are working at the scene there that occurred there, and then we are also, as we're stabilizing this between Brooklyn Park, working on the homicide investigation with Brooklyn Park Police, the BCA, FBI is assisting there as well, and we'll be conducting crime scene investigation there. And then
I was just kidding also.
Individuals that were killed will be doing autopsies of those individuals to determine the extent of their injuries and how they passed away. But it was from gunshot wounds. At this time, I will answer questions after Commissioner of Public Safety Bob Jacobson speaks, but we'll be happy to take a few questions.
Thank you, Superintendent Evans. My name is Bob Jacobson. It's my honor to serve as the Commissioner of Public Safety for the state of Minnesota. This is a dark day today for Minnesota and for democracy, but we will not allow fear or violence to define who we are or how we move forward. We will stand together, and we will stand strong. Our hearts, of course, go out to the victims, their families, their colleagues at the Capitol, and to the communities that they serve with dedication and with integrity. These are public servants, leaders who committed their lives to improving the lives of others, and they were targeted in a violent and cowardly way. The suspect exploited the trust of our uniforms, that our uniforms are meant to represent. That betrayal is deeply disturbing to those of us who wear the badge with honor and responsibility. We want to reassure the public that there is increased security in place for elected officials and others who may be at risk. If you see anything suspicious, especially involving individuals impersonating law enforcement, please report it immediately by calling 911 or your local police department. With that, I'll step back and we will be available for any questions. Thank you.
A reminder, please, as you ask your first questions, please don't forget to introduce yourself, your media organization, and to the folks answering questions, please don't forget to repeat the question.
So can you say one more time, so you were just going to proactively check on Speaker Merrick's Hortman, and then police there encountered the gunman, or someone with a gunman, and exchanged gunfire. Can you just go over that one time, please?
Again, good morning, Police Chief Mark Rube, Brooklyn Park Police Department. The question is, how did we...
Oh my God, I was just about to say something and he did it. If you are speaking in front of an audience, oftentimes you'll be given a microphone and the audience doesn't have a microphone or they're not mic'd up. You should repeat the question back so that when you're mic'd, people in the audience or people on TV can go. And he's repeating it. Good job. Thank you.
Again, good morning, Police Chief Mark Rube, Brooklyn Park Police Department. The question is, how did we get to Representative Hortman's house, and it was proactively or not? The circumstances unfolded in Brooklyn Park this morning is that we assisted the Champlin Police Department on a shooting. That shooting was made aware by one of our sergeants that it was at Senator Hoffman's home. In hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, the representative that lives in our community, just proactively as due diligence to swing by. That police officer and his partner pulled down the street when they arrived at Melissa's house. They noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the lights, emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
Is this an actual police officer or an impersonating police officer?
Yes, the question is, was it a real person or a person impersonating a police officer? It was not a real police officer. This is somebody that clearly had been impersonating a police officer, again, using the trust of this badge and this uniform to manipulate their way into the home.
So, Chief, early janitorial paradigm, the person not only was wearing a badge, was a police officer. When they approached their victims, they had a car with lights and sirens?
Yes, the question is what kind of vehicle, how were they dressed? They did drive a vehicle that looked exactly like an SUV squad car. It was equipped with lights, emergency lights that looked exactly like a police vehicle. And yes, they were wearing a vest with taser, other equipment that would, a badge very similar to mine, that no question if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer.
Chief, related to that sort of WTC service, can you describe the moments after that played out? You said the person went into the home, and then can you help us understand the next 10, 15 minutes of how we got from where I am?
The shooter was a leftist thing, is a direct Russian psyop spread by Russian bots and picked up by the New York Post and other slop tabloids. How do we combat this? Even when Asmongold is both siding the issue while complaining about increase in leftist violence. I don't know. Good luck. Some of it comes from the people, some of it comes from the platforms. Listen, tell Twitch to unban me, okay? Twitch has no moderate voices. That platform is f***ed right now. but that's not even like just Asmongold and Hassan's fault. Twitch is making that choice by keeping me banned.
Yeah, briefly, although I'm just going to remind us that this is an absolutely active investigation. We have thousands of people sheltered in place in the city of Brooklyn Park right now. We are in an extensive manhunt involving hundreds and hundreds of police officers and SWAT teams searching, ridding off areas as we believe confidently the suspect had fled out the back of the house after being confronted by the police. Very briefly, after the officers had exchanged gunfire and the suspect retreated into Melissa's home, they immediately went up to the threshold and looked in and seen a male that was down, clearly had been struck by gunfire. They made limited penetration, grabbed a hold of the male and drug him out to safety to attempt first aid. However, he was pronounced dead shortly after that. At that point, the officers surrounded the house, got additional resources and SWAT resources, and then ultimately went in with a drone identifying a female in the home.
How far apart are those two scenes? 8 miles?
I would say, yeah, somewhere around 5 or 6 miles apart.
How much do you know about if the person that was impersonating an officer who allegedly shot these people, did they knock on the door and people came to the door, or the person breaking the home?
Yeah, it was knocking on the door and asking the person to come out, absolutely impersonating a police officer.
You don't have a suspect's car?
We do have the suspect's car. Suspect is on foot. That is what the large-scale search is currently going on.
Some of the Aspen takes, the Pokemon catching up immigrants, for example, are way worse than anything you said about trans. Yeah, I don't even know. It's really weird. It has to be. Like, this makes me sound maximally deranged, but I mean, I don't think there's any other explanation for it. There has to be like an intense personal hatred of me by some, either a person who's in charge of unbanning people or a collection of people over at Twitch that don't like me, because it can't just be a political thing. Because Asmongold, I think, has gone further in basically every anti-progressive direction compared to me. Like, if you think that I said bad things about trans people and so they banned me for some ideological reason, Asmongold, I actually thought he would catch a 30-day for that. That actually blew my mind. When Asmongold said every single trans kid must have mentally ill parents or whatever, right? I don't want to misquote him, but it was a statement in that ballpark. And I was like, holy shit, he's going to get nuked. How does he feel so safe saying that? Jesus. That was crazy to me. Yeah, I don't know. Damn.
I just remind residents of Brooklyn Park, I know it's been a long time, but those that are in the grid that we gave the alert out to continue to shelter in place. We're also reminding them that if somebody comes to the door and they knock on the door and claim to be a police officer, please do a couple things. One, call 911 and confirm that the officer belongs there. If they are a police officer, dispatch will be able to confirm that that person is a police officer. Also, we've informed all our...
Did you send your appeal again? I told you guys, I appealed like 3 months ago. They just never responded. I think they're just going to leave it sit. Maybe they fired the guy who's in charge of denying my shit, so now it just sits there forever.
Call 911 and confirm that the officer belongs there. If they are a police officer, dispatch will be able to confirm that that person is a police officer. Also, we've informed all our officers in Brooklyn Park that they are not to approach anybody by themselves. They're to approach in pairs, meaning 2 officers. So if there's only 1 officer outside the door, do not answer the door and call 911. If it's a Brooklyn Park police officer or any of our partners that are assisting, they will come in pairs of 2 or more. I'm sorry, one at a time.
Do you know if they said anything, like when you knocked on the door, did you say things like that?
We do know they did, but I'm going to hold that back as part of the investigation right now. This is a very large-scale search, so we have detained several people and questioned them, but we do not have anybody in custody at this time.
I know you may not want to identify that person publicly, but have you privately identified the suspect?
We have people of interest that we are looking for.
Other than that, these are 2 Democratic lawmakers. Is there anything else to suggest that this is politically motivated?
Again, I'm going to hold back most of the information. This is part of the investigation we've completed. This is rapidly evolving, just occurred a few hours ago, and we're trying to sort it out. We have partners from the FBI, the BCA, the County Sheriff's Office, and almost every suburban agency in our community helping us with this. So it's very complex and working on it. But I will tell you, when we did a search of the vehicle, there wasn't a manifesto that identified many lawmakers and other officials. We immediately made alerts to the state who took action on alerting them and providing security where necessary. And that's about, I'll stop there.
Chief, thank you very much. We're going to take one more question.
True with the BCA, can I have just, you use the word target, and that's kind of along the lines of Michelle's question in terms of politics, Democrats, Republicans. These are both Democratic lawmakers.
Oh, is there like a big curfew in Minnesota today? Like, did they shut down all the protests everywhere, or are they still going on, or how's that been affected?
You said we're targeted, so targeted because they're politicians or targeted because they're Democrats?
Well, so the question is were they targeted, and when I use the term, why am I using the term? As Chief really noted, there was a list of individuals, and the individuals that were targeted in this situation were on that list. And so when we're looking at that, as Chief really said, it's far too early in the investigation to
They encourage them not to protest, but people are okay.
be able to provide information, but I do think we'll be in a position where we'll be able to develop the motivation behind these attacks, and we'll be able to provide more information as this unfolds. And so that's part of the reason we're using it, is I think there's some preliminary information that is telling us kind of where this is headed, but we need a lot more work done by all the teams that are here working on that to be able to provide that with you with a degree of accuracy.
Thanks.
Quite a few.
We're good. Thank you. Yep, hold on. Colonel, do you want to talk about the rally at the Capitol?
Good morning, Colonel Bogojevich with the State Patrol. We are aware of the demonstrations across Minnesota, including the Capitol and across the nation. We will work with our state partners.
Wait. Is this the list, or the list of names? Was this found in the person's car? Did he have this written down? Given the targeted shootings of state lawmakers overnight, rest of the public not attend today's planned demonstrations across Minnesota out of an abundance of caution? The photo is of flyers inside the vehicle of the suspect in today's shootings. Damn. I wonder, I mean, it must be an intentional, that he chose today to do it, right?
And our local partners to provide security and safety for those that attend.
Christine Miller, Pioneer Press, can you confirm that you will have a sniper station at the Capitol today?
The question was, will we have a sniper at the Capitol? We don't discuss our security plans on the Capitol grounds.
Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. We will, I think you do have, and if you haven't, let me know, but we do have a place where you can send inquiries for your interview requests, information requests. We have our State Emergency Operations Center set up. If you need information on how to make those requests and make sure that we see them, let me know.
I wonder how intentional or how planned out all of this is too, because if you think about it, there's a lot of bad stuff going on here. So on the surface level, obviously, you have the, you're shooting people and killing people, which is not good. But he's obviously doing it on the morning of all of these protests, which are supposed to happen, which could get some of these protests shut down. And he's also doing it by impersonating police officers, which probably makes everybody feel even more apprehensive towards police officers, which would increase tensions between officers and civilians, maybe lead to more violence that way. Like if any protests do, like it's a pretty mindful. I wonder how much of like psychological warfare this guy intentionally engaged in.
Reasons to believe that these events were also targeted by the person in the manifesto in the car?
We don't have any direct...
Is this DC Drano guy, was he born in Russia or did he just live there full time? Is this a real person? Does anybody know? I like how none of this means anything anymore. I don't know if the No Kings protest is officially a domestic terrorist movement. The Minnesota assassin was a radical Democrat who had No Kings flyers in his vehicle and targeted Democrat politicians who voted against free healthcare for illegal aliens. Time to shut it all down. Okay.
Direct links, however, there were some flyers that said No Kings within the suspect vehicle. And as we know, the planned events throughout the state of Minnesota today is a No Kings event.
And so the reference materials that were inside of the vehicle that we saw, we have no understanding that any of the No Kings events would be targeted, but we also find it of interest to the public that these would be in there, and we want to alert everybody until we do that. Because this is such an active investigation with information not knowing right now, we feel it's an obligation to all of you and the public across the state of Minnesota to alert you of it, and that's why the Colonel made the notation of recommending people don't go today. But the individuals are not in custody yet, and so we want to make sure as that very...
None of these statements back up what the guy's tweeting, but okay. Apparently that guy is present at 3630 here.
So, calme-toi. Alors, aidez-moi à recevoir le docteur Vance qui va nous partager la parole.
Thank you, brother. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank Pastor Maurice as well for the opportunity to preach in this church. It's a privilege.
Why would they release the No King flyer image but nothing else? It feels like they only fan the flames. I implore you to practice thinking like this more, and I know it's hard, but we have a very, very bad tendency to look at the past as inevitable, and when things fall into place, we view things as that's how it only could have gone, and you need to practice going back in time and trying to look prospectively at things to understand how situations can evolve or change. I'm not saying they necessarily made the right decision in releasing the pictures of the No Kings thing, but just saying, and I mean, I guess that we're still on today, but like, let's say that they didn't release that picture, and then let's say that it comes out, there's multiple bad things that could happen as a result. There are bad things that could happen as a result of them releasing it. People associate him with terrorism, or they associate the events with terrorism, or whatever. But let's say that they don't release it, and let's say later on, like 3 more shooters appear at some of these rallies and start killing people, and then the police are like, oh, well, this guy had, you know, flyers in his car about these events. I mean, if I was in Minnesota and like I had a friend killed or I show up and there's shootings, I'm like, why the fuck would you not release that information that the guy had flyers about these fucking events and you just let us go out there? Yeah, you know, is it the right decision or the wrong decision? I don't know. It's hard. I'm just saying there's a lot of things that could happen. People's decision making, you have to go with the information you have at the time. You know, who knows?
And I want to bring a greeting from all your brothers and sisters in the United States who want to say they wish you well and God bless you and keep doing what you're doing. Keep
Je vous amène les salutations de mes frères et sœurs des
What, is this South America somewhere? Where the fuck is this?
États-Unis qui ont dit que le Seigneur vous bénisse, qui vous protège, qui vous garde, que vous soyez.
No, that's not Spanish. What are they? Where are they? Are they in Africa? South Africa, the Congo, London. Okay. Republic of the Congo.
This is an easy place to preach to.
He has like 30 videos of him preaching in the Congo. Jesus, this is 2 years old. Okay.
Ça c'est un endroit facile où on peut prêcher.
Because you already love the Word of God.
Parce que vous aimez déjà la parole de Dieu.
You have ears to hear.
Vous avez la foi, vous avez des oreilles pour entendre.
And you're excited about God's kingdom.
Et vous êtes intéressé par le royaume de Dieu.
I met Jesus when I was 17 years old.
J'ai rencontré le Seigneur quand j'avais l'âge de 17 ans.
And I gave my life to him.
Et j'ai donné ma vie à Jésus-Christ.
And about 4 months after that,
et 4 mois après,
I met the Holy Spirit and was filled with the Holy Spirit.
J'avais rencontré le Saint-Esprit et le Saint-Esprit m'avait rempli.
And I just wanted to tell everybody about Jesus.
Et j'étais vraiment heureux de parler de tout le monde, de parler à tout le monde de Jésus.
I wrote out my testimony.
Et j'avais écrit mon témoignage.
I took it to a printer and I said, print this into a pamphlet.
Et je l'ai amené pour qu'on puisse l'imprimer.
And I went all over my hometown, knocking on every door.
Et je suis parti dans ma ville frappant à chaque porte.
I said, I got saved.
Et je disais, je suis sauvé.
Jesus saved me.
Jésus m'a sauvé.
Here's my whole testimony.
Ça,
you can have it.
Ça c'est vraiment mon témoignage. Vous pouvez le voir, vous pouvez le lire.
You should serve Jesus too, I told them.
Et vous aussi, vous devez servir le Seigneur. C'est comme ça que je leur disais.
I remember when I met Jesus like it was yesterday.
Et je me rappelle de quand j'avais rencontré Jésus-Christ comme si c'était hier.
He has blessed my life.
Il a béni ma vie.
With wonderful friends like when I met McNay.
Avec des amis merveilleux comme le frère McNay.
And Pastor Maurice.
Comme le pasteur Maurice.
And all of you.
Et comme chacun d'entre vous.
Never would have happened without Jesus.
Il n'y a rien qui peut arriver sans Jésus-Christ.
He blessed me with a great wife.
Il m'a béni avec une femme merveilleuse.
He blessed me with a daughter.
Il m'a béni avec des filles.
Because of the grace of God, we named her Grace.
Et à cause de la grâce de Dieu, nous les avons nommées Grâce.
He gave us another daughter.
Il nous a donné une autre fille.
We called her Faith.
Une autre fille, la deuxième, nous l'avons appelée Foi.
God gave us a third daughter.
Et Dieu nous a donné une troisième fille.
We named her Hope.
Nous l'avons appelée Hope, Espérance.
Then we had a son.
Et après, nous avons eu un fils.
His name's David.
Nous l'avons appelé David.
That's another whole story for another time.
Where is this guy from that he knows how to speak French? And why is he translating from her to the audience too? Do these people all only speak English?
Ça, c'est encore une histoire d'un autre moment.
And then he blessed us with a fourth girl, another girl.
Et puis, il nous a donné encore un cinquième enfant, une fille.
And we named her Joy.
Nous l'avons nommée Joie.
And we are so thankful.
Just kidding. Wait, what? His 4 daughters are named what? Hope, Joy, Grace, and what was the other one? Jesus. He's like making a concept album of children. What the fuck? Faith? Oh my God.
God.
Et nous sommes vraiment reconnaissants au Seigneur.
God in his wisdom.
Dieu, dans sa sagesse,
knew that he had to restore mankind,
savait qu'il devait restaurer l'humanité
into fellowship with himself,
pour qu'il soit dans la communion avec lui.
And you know the story of Adam and Eve.
Et vous savez l'histoire d'Adam et Ève.
And what happened?
Ce qui s'était passé.
He said, "Don't do these things."
On leur a dit, ne fais pas ceci.
They did them.
Et eux n'ont pas obéi.
And sinned against God.
Et ils ont péché contre le Seigneur.
And God comes with a question.
Et Dieu est venu avec une question.
The word comes from God.
Et la parole est venue de Dieu.
And he says, "Where are you?"
Et Dieu dit, où es-tu?
God didn't ask that question because he didn't know.
Dieu n'avait pas posé cette question à Adam et Ève parce qu'il ne connaissait pas là où ils étaient.
He knew where they were.
Il savait exactement là où ils étaient.
He asked the question for us.
Il a posé cette question pour nous.
He also said, "What have you done?"
Et il leur a aussi demandé, qu'est-ce que vous avez fait?
He knew the answer.
Il connaissait bien la réponse.
The question.
What breaks in someone's brain to be 57, have a doctorate, have 5 kids, and then decide to go out and kill politicians? I don't know. What's his doctorate in? That is really crazy, though. Jeez.
Was for them.
La question.
Why are we watching this? Are you getting into evangelical? This is the shooter, supposedly.
Était pour eux.
Dr. Vance Bolter.
They had children.
Ils ont eu des enfants.
Cain and Abel.
Ils ont eu Caïn et Abel.
They brought offerings to the Lord.
Ils ont amené de l'offrande au Seigneur.
It doesn't say why,
Il n'a pas dit pourquoi,
but it says that God accepted Abel's offering,
mais la Bible nous dit que Dieu a accepté l'offrande d'Abel.
but he didn't regard
He was talking to ChatGPT. When was this uploaded? 2 years ago.
Cain's.
Il n'a pas accepté l'offrande de Caïn.
This is very important.
Ça, c'est très important.
So often in the world today,
Aujourd'hui, dans le monde,
everyone wants an excuse
tout le monde a une excuse.
for not doing the right thing.
Une excuse de ne pas faire la volonté de Dieu, de ne pas faire une offrande.
We want to blame someone else or something else.
Nous voulons condamner les uns et les autres.
But here's God talking to Cain.
Mais Dieu, écoutons ce que Dieu a dit à Caïn.
He said, "Why are you angry?
Il a dit à Caïn, pourquoi es-tu triste?
And why is your face sad?"
Pourquoi est-ce que ton visage est triste et sombre?
He said, "If you do well,
Il lui a dit, si tu as bien agi,
won't your countenance be lifted up?
tu dois être relevé.
And if you do not do
Et
well,
si tu n'as pas bien agi,
sin is crouching at the
le
door,
péché est couché à ta porte.
and its desire is for
Et son
you,
désir se tourne vers toi.
but you must master
Mais
it." God knows why you're here.
le Seigneur sait pourquoi tu es là.
Je veux agir selon la foi.
Sit to God
Et je vais aller confesser devant le Seigneur toutes choses qui ne marchent pas bien dans ma vie.
and be restored,
Et je serai restauré.
and let God fill your heart with joy,
Et le Seigneur va me remplir mon cœur de joie.
and get going on that plan.
Et Dieu va m'aider à arriver à vivre le plan qu'il a pour moi.
I want to wrap this up.
J'aimerais faire un résumé.
However, Pastor Maurice wants to deal with anyone that has something they need to pray about.
Peut-être le pasteur Maurice voudrait faire quelque chose avec.
It's just a suspect, right? Or is it confirmed? I think he's the suspect, but I think it's like heavily leaning in that direction. They, for whatever reason, they have good reason to believe it's him. They, like the cops have announced he's the prime suspect. This page had information about him, but it's been deleted. Even though there's no archive, or nice. Is he in custody or is on the run? He is not even on the run. He's at large. I don't know if that is a formal definition, but I think he's on the run, armed and dangerous. Dr. Vance Bolter, EDD, Education Department, is CEO of Red Line Group based in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He's also the CEO of Praetorian Guard Security Services based in Minnesota. Dr. Bolter majored in international relations for his undergrad degree at St. Cloud State University of Minnesota. He holds his Master's of Science in Management and Doctorate in Leadership for the Advancement of Learning and Service from Cardinal Stitch University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Jesus. He's worked full-time for Nestle, Del Monte, Tesoro, Marathon Speedway, and 7-Eleven. He's worked in operations, tech services, quality service, continuous improvement. It has experience in Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Jesus. It's wild.
I mean, like when you constantly have political rhetoric that's echoed by congresspeople and other noteworthy people on social media that justifies or rationalizes violence, it's really not a surprise that something like this happens.
Like illegal immigrants are invading your country and trying to replace you, and you literally have to do the Alien Enemies Act to deport people because you're being actively invaded by the country of Venezuela? Like when you have to deploy the National Guard on day 2 of protests without request from a governor, when you have to send in the Marines to go and enforce your ICE deportation? What are you talking about? How can you be so mind rotted? Jesus Christ. At some point, God, I wish I could just I just want to be able to see into their rooms when they finish streaming. I'm so curious for people like him and Mike Rubio, like, do they know? Do they know that they're completely full of shit? I'm so curious at it's got to be like a big meme. Like they're like, oh, whew, good day's work today. That was a hard one. Like, is it intentional?
Motivations of this are, and we'll provide that as you can. This is really a public safety announcement for everybody so that we can make sure people are informed and make safe decisions throughout the day.
This all started, I think, with Luigi. I think this was the first time that it happened. And then when people saw that Luigi got a lot of positive feedback and people were happy about it, then right after that, I feel like you started to see a lot more of this violence happen.
I'm sorry, do you think that Luigi was only supported by the left? The right has gone full brain rot, anti-corporation, anti-big pharma, anti-populist, or pro-populist in their messaging as well. What are you talking about?
And I think it's very, very problematic, extremely problematic. Let me see what this is. This is some more of it right here. So basically, the guy is a left-centered Luigi. I mean, we're not sure about him being... I mean, like, it's very odd that it's already decided that it's a politically motivated attack. And this person just happened to shoot the only Democrat that voted against a bill that every other Democrat voted for.
I mean, how many bills are being voted on constantly? Did he even look up anything? This is why I hate breaking news. I don't cover breaking news. This is cringe as f. I don't know how much information was out 3 hours ago. If they had the list of all the lawmakers and everything else.
So,
but...
I mean, and they have the No Kings posters. So every single indication shows that, but there's no certainty for it yet, right?
In what world is your brain like, there's no King's posters, so he must be... Or is he saying that the evidence... Because if I see posters like that in a person's car, my assumption would be that he's going to go shoot those events up. Not that he's supporting them? Oh, Destiny. Both of the lawmakers that were shot did not vote for that, so this theory makes no sense.
So, can you say it one more time? So
maybe he was handing out flyers?
Proactively check on Speaker Emeritus Portman, and then police there encountered the gunman or someone with a gun and exchanged gunfire. Can you just go over that one more time, please?
I can. Good morning. Police Chief Mark Bruley, Brooklyn Park Police Department. The question is, how did we get to Representative Hortman's house, and it was proactively or not?
Yeah.
The circumstances then...
Every indication shows that he's a deranged MAGA dude. Is he? I haven't seen any indication that he's a deranged MAGA dude. He looks like just in the little I've seen, like a crazy Christian religious dude. I don't know how MAGA he was or not, but...
In Brooklyn Park this morning is that we assisted the Champlin Police Department on a shooting. That shooting was made aware by one of our sergeants that it was at Senator Hoffman's home.
God damn.
And hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our...
It looks like the governor of Minnesota gave him private sector representative role for 2 years back in 2016. I think that's just his security job. Governor signs off is slightly of note. Well, just as a quick thing, because I saw people talking about this earlier. Now, I know that it's weird because we live in a world right now that has never, ever been this partisan before, such that the President of the United States, in an incredibly disgusting breach of protocol and in an improper manner, is revoking security clearances from people that he doesn't like. But it's you do know that it's like ordinary business to where people will appoint people or hire people or work with people that are of the opposite political party. Like, it's not normal or ordinary like Donald Trump, where you exclusively pick people to work for you that had jobs at Fox News. That's like a new thing. It's never been that partisan before, right? Because of the special trust and confidence I have in your integrity, judgment, and ability, I've appointed and commissioned you to have and hold the office of Private Sector Representative, Governor's Workforce Development Council. What even is this? He's just a guy that gives input on some kind of how development or something? It's not like he's a fucking attorney general or something, but okay. It's like a bipartisan council of 30 small business owners. Yeah, that's what, like, private sector representative. Yeah. Not to knock anybody with a position like this. That's fine. But I don't know what this is supposed to prove one way or another.
Our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, the representative that lives in our community, just proactively as due diligence to swing by.
Smart guy.
Some people are saying it's the same or a different guy with the same name. How many people have the name Vance Bolter in Minnesota? I don't know if I would believe that. I have a LinkedIn account. Why am I even logged on this computer base? Somebody said he was working at 7-Eleven during the time listed here. I mean, so he could still be on that thing, right? Those like little advisory boards aren't usually, those aren't like full-time jobs or whatever, no?
That police officer and his partner pulled down the street when they arrived at Melissa's house. They noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the lights, emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
Melissa Hortman was a Democrat, murdered for being a Democrat. Say it clearly, this is political terrorism. I don't know. I mean, it's very uncertain why. I don't know, why the other group got killed either. Another lawmaker, this is another person here, John Hoffman. Is this person a Republican or a Democrat? Let me see if I can find this. And he's also a member of the Democratic Party. So did he vote again? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she was murdered for switching sides. Yeah, but her being murdered for switching sides, that argument becomes less valid. And I believe that immediately less when somebody else was also shot who apparently did not. They both voted against it. Oh, man.
I heard that. Oh.
That's wrong? Well, no, I think he didn't vote.
You know what I've just realized? You know what I just realized? You f***ers in chat that like breaking news coverage, you're the same ones that hate spoilers in movies, because this is how you live life. You like to go through life, be like, oh, I'm so surprised about everything, and that's the other thing. I hate all of you. I want you to know that I hate every single one of you in chat. I hate you all. Twitch is lost.
By that vote, I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision. I know that.
This is the lady who died this morning. Representative Melissa Hortman sounded absolutely terrified while speaking to the media after she voted no on healthcare for illegals. She was just assassinated this morning. She knew she'd end up as a target in one form or another. Oh my God. Wow, I want to see that manifesto right now. Truly heartbreaking. She had the courage to do what she felt was correct, and she met the consequences. Are these people f***ing serious? Chilling. Okay. So right now she's a right-wing martyr, LOL. Let's see how long that holds up. It doesn't have to hold up that long. It only has to come and go for a day or two, and then everybody forgets it and moves on. Destiny, how do you justify the violence from your party that led to the assassination of a CEO and now a House Democrat? I think it's incredibly sad and disgusting that Trump has inspired so much violence in this country, and I hope he stops. Are you concerned that extremist killings by MAGA and leftists like Luigi could escalate into a Spanish Civil War-style conflict? Maybe. Kind of